right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
A weather impact alert for the overnight hours Wednesday night. A few stronger storms possible before daybreak Thursday. Why damaging winds should not be widespread.
Halloween warning signs pulled from yards of Missouri sex offenders. Tonight, the court ruling parents need to know about. Our top story, long lines leading to voter frustrations.
We thought we were ready to go, had a great game plan.
Now those voters' voices are being heard in St. Charles County. We're now just 7 days away from Election Day, and with 1 week to go, the race for the White House is in a dead heat. Tonight, both presidential candidates making their closing pitch to voters. And voters are already exercising their right, leading to a ballot backup. Good evening. I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Kelly Jackson. Traffic congestion and long lines have been an issue at the two early voting locations in St. Charles County. 5 on Your Side's Brett Solomon has more from election officials who heard voters' concerns and are now taking action.
Busy and cars are backed up.
Early voters in St. Charles County forced to wait it out or leave.
They could use easier access.
A fact not lost on the director of elections.
What we have is these large trucks trying to do their deliveries and all of these voters trying to get here to the election authority.
Kurt Barr says growing awareness about no excuse early voting has led to an influx of voters.
More than you expected?
More than I'm expecting in this last 2 weeks.
Adding to the traffic backlog, more people wanting to vote curbside.
We've had so many more voters ask for accessible curbside voting than we have ever seen in previous elections, including 2020 when we were dealing with the pandemic.
Now, St. Charles County is offering this shuttle van so early voters can park at a nearby church and then catch a ride to vote. A new traffic team is helping navigate people in and out. And the county's second voting location, Element Church, will now add an extra day of early voting. It isn't usually open the Monday before Election Day. Now it will be.
Are 2 polling locations enough?
2 polling locations have been enough up until Tuesday. You can't change a drop of a hat. You can't, just say, oh, we're going to open this, we're going to do this. It requires a certain level of staffing, of resources. It takes a while to purchase the machines and the equipment that we need to be able to adequately and correctly staff another location.
In the past 5 years, St. Charles County has seen an increase of 26,000 more registered voters.
It took about, half hour.
Brent Solomon, 5 on Your Side.
And the elections director says he will ask the county for more funding to allow for additional staffing, more ballot printers, and possibly a third early voting location for future elections. It was another busy day at early voting locations in St. Louis County. More than 21,000 ballots were cast across 14 polling places. That's on top of the 20,000 voters yesterday and the nearly 80,000 in the first 5 days. Early voting runs until Monday. And before heading to the polls, you'll want to check out our voter guide on KSDK.com. For a link, text the word guide to 314-425-5355. Just hours ago, Vice President Kamala Harris delivered her closing argument to the American voter.
She delivered a speech at the Ellipse outside the White House grounds where she drew a sharp contrast between herself and former President Donald Trump.
We know who Donald Trump is. He is the person who stood at this very spot nearly 4 years ago and sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol to overturn the will of the people in a free and fair election. An election that he knew he lost.
The Harris campaign says 75,000 people attended tonight's speech. However, the National Park Service does not provide crowd estimates. President Joe Biden did not attend tonight's rally. He was just steps away in the White House, where he took part in a call for Vote Latino.
He turned some heads while responding to a joke a comedian made at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally about Puerto Rico being a, quote, floating island of garbage.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latino is unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Mr. Trump responded to those comments during a rally tonight in Allentown, Pennsylvania, calling it, quote, terrible.
Remember Hillary? She said deplorable. And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know. You have to please forgive him. Please forgive him.
The former president says his campaign is focused on solutions to the economy and immigration.
Be sure to join us 1 week from tonight on 5 on Your Side at 10 for live election night results, reaction, and analysis. We'll also have live coverage on the 5+ streaming app. That'll be from 6 until 11. You can text plus to 314-425-5355 for a link to the download. It's free, of course, on your Amazon Fire, Roku, or Apple TV. The ongoing walkout by city workers and Bellefontaine neighbors is now getting the attention of state lawmakers.
Tonight, 5 on Your Side's Robert Townsend talked to the state rep for that North County community about her concerns. Robert?
Kelly and Mike, hours ago, I spoke with Missouri State Rep Marlene Terry about the walkout. Now, that shut down the Bellefontaine Neighbors City Hall and left services for citizens in limbo.
The citizens will be the top priority.
Since Friday, none of the 10,000 citizens who live in Bellefontaine Neighbors have been able to go to City Hall for services.
That's sadness.
The building is still closed and all non-essential employees are not on the job. Felicia Gray has lived in the North County community for 3 years.
It's real concerning. This is a crucial issue for the citizens of Bellefontaine Neighbors.
The city workers walked off the job with several demands, including pay raises and a better work environment. According to a letter still posted on the front door at City Hall, in the past several months, city departments such as law enforcement, public works, courts, and Parks and Rec have become increasingly understaffed, with the remaining employees stretched thin trying to cover the gaps. State Rep Marlene Terry lives in and represents the 66th Ward, which includes Bellefontaine Neighbors.
I wholeheartedly want the citizens to know that I support them, and I apologize for what's going on because our community does not deserve to go through something like this. I support the workers and I support the mayor.
Terry says ever since Mayor Dinah Tatman was elected more than a year ago, she has been at odds with several members of the Board of Aldermen.
The citizens voted her in, and so therefore the alder people are there to legislate and to help her with the issues of Bellefontaine Neighbors.
In a statement, a spokesman for Missouri Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick says we recently received a whistleblower complaint detailing some of the current issues in Bellefontaine Neighbors. We take these complaints very seriously and are currently reviewing the submitted information to determine if there are any steps our office can take to help ensure accountability and transparency for taxpayers.
Hopefully the board will come together and solve it.
I reached out to several Bellefontaine Neighbors, alderpersons, about this walkout, but have not heard back. I'm told Mayor Tatman is out of town. The board is expected to meet in a closed-door meeting tomorrow night at 6:30.
Developing tonight, newly released video shows the moments before a Missouri inmate died after being put in heavy restraints. Othell Moore died in December 2023 at the Jefferson City Correctional Center. His lawyers say guards pepper sprayed him during a jail cell sweep for drugs. He was then handcuffed, had his legs shackled, and placed in a spit mask before being put in a restraint cart. He was then put in a dry cell for 23 minutes, where he died.
The nonchalant manner in which the guards observed Othell like a zoo animal behind glass, encased in straps and restraints and hoods and helmets and masks. Nobody should be treated in that fashion.
10 people have been fired after investigations into Moore's death, and 4 former officers are charged with second-degree murder.
Tonight, Alton police are issuing a warning to parents about the dangers of co-sleeping with newborns and infants. The stark reminder comes after 2 babies have died in the city this year. The first case happened in April when an 8-week-old girl died. 1 month later, a 3-month-old boy died. In each case, the parents were charged. Investigators say alcohol and drug use played a role. In a statement, Alton Police Chief Jarrett Ford said, quote, "We urge all parents and caregivers to prioritize the safety and well-being of their children and to seek help if they are struggling with substance abuse or inadequate living conditions." This Halloween, Missouri sex offenders won't have to put a sign on their front door turning trick-or-treaters away.
The change comes after a court decision earlier this month. A new Tonight 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski talked with the attorney on this case and learned it doesn't apply to other parts of the law. Laura?
That's right. It does not, Mike and Kelly. Other measures surrounding Halloween are still in place for registered sex offenders. The attorney I spoke with says in some cases those signs did more harm than good.
Hey, happy Halloween. Here we go. Have a good night.
Since August of 2008, registered sex offenders had to put signs on their doors on Halloween saying no candy or treats at this residence. Attorney Janice Bellucci represented a Hazelwood man challenging the law.
All the laws have one thing in common, which is they're based on a myth or misunderstanding that people on the registry actually pose a danger to children while they're trick-or-treating. The fact is no child has ever been sexually abused by a registrant while that child was trick-or-treating, not even once.
Earlier this month, a U.S. District Court judge declared the signs unconstitutional. Bellucci says they've seen in other states how those signs actually made people on the registry targets on Halloween.
We have had instances where people have tried to light a house on fire, shot a gun into somebody's house. I mean, those are the kinds of things that people on the registry are really concerned about.
Cynthia Danley with Safe Connections says she understands both sides of this issue.
I do think the signs helped because it took it off of that parent or that adult or whoever was with the children during the trick-or-treating.
She encourages parents to still do their homework ahead of time, take a look at the sex offender registry and have a conversation with their kids.
Tell them, okay, that person doesn't have their lights on, so that means they're not giving away candy or or treats for the holiday. So then we were going to bypass that home.
Other parts of the law are still in place for registrants, like keeping outside lights off, avoiding Halloween-related contact with kids, and staying home between 5 and 10:30 p.m. Bellucci says Attorney General Andrew Bailey has filed a notice to appeal, and I reached out to his office but did not hear back.
Thank you, Laura. A group of retired St. Louis police officers are urging Missouri Governor Mike Parson to free a prisoner serving a 1,000-year sentence. Paige Spears was convicted of robbing a Ferguson liquor store in 1988. He was sentenced to life, which at the time was 40 years. But a clerical error still lists his sentence at 1,001 years. Prison officials have described Spears as a model prisoner, and he's gone on to complete more than 100 rehabilitation programs.
Well, why is this man still in prison if all he did was he did a robbery, in 1988, and no one was hurt, nobody, there was no assault, there was no shooting. And the more I got into it, the more I learned that he's just like a victim of this glitch in the system.
Governor Parson's office says Spears' petition is one of less than 100 still under consideration.
Dozens of restaurants are pitching in to help the family of Ferguson police officer Travis Brown. Brown has been in the hospital for months since suffering a critical brain injury during a protest, putting him in a coma. Today, more than 30 locations are donating anywhere from 10 to 30% of their proceeds to help pay his medical bills.
The main thing that we're trying to do is to allow people to see that, police officers are still people. They need support, they need love, they need care. So it's important for us as a community to come together to let them know that we are here for them.
The family tells us Brown is now responsive, smiling, and can squeeze people's hands. A ballot bungle caught on camera. Tonight, the fate of hundreds of votes in Florida. A playground pitfall. Tonight, a Missouri fourth grader is in critical condition.
We use this as an opportunity to educate folks about the danger of these trees.
The freak accident serving as a lesson for all property owners.
Another windy, warm day Wednesday. Then we track a line of stronger storms heading toward daybreak Thursday. Why we have a weather impact alert overnight tomorrow, and what you need to do as you plan your trick-or-treat festivities.
Verify here with your election fast fact. Did you know that voter intimidation is illegal? It's true, according to these sources. Federal and state laws say it's a crime to intimidate or interfere with a person trying to vote. The ACLU explains this could be in the form of aggressively questioning a person's qualifications to vote, including citizenship status, spreading false information about voting requirements, or other forms of harassment, particularly towards non-English speakers or voters of color. Many states also ban items with a candidate's name because it could influence a person's vote at the ballot box. The ACLU says voter intimidation is rare, but if someone does try to interfere with your right to vote, you should report it to poll workers, local or state election officials, or the U.S. Department of Justice's Voting Rights Hotline. With your Fast Fact, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Caught on camera, voter ballots left in the middle of the road in Miami, Florida.
Yeah, the incident has left a Board of Elections worker out of a job tonight. Dashcam video shows a car almost running over a ballot bin and bag. The driver stopped, picked them up, and drove them to a police station. Election officials say the seal on the box and bin were not damaged or tampered.
Extra security is in place at a drop-off ballot boxes in Washington state. This after an arsonist destroyed hundreds of ballots after setting fire to 3 separate ballots or boxes. Police are still looking for the suspect. Officials say they will closely monitor the nearly 24 boxes 24/7 until Election Day. Tonight, a Missouri 4th grader is in critical condition after a falling tree branch hit him on the head during recess. This happened on a playground outside an elementary school near Kansas City. Authorities say the branch fell from a tree at a home next door.
People need to pay attention to the trees in their yard. You know, we want to make sure that we use this as an opportunity to educate folks about the danger of these trees. The winds are always high this time of year, and in the spring we've got some incoming weather systems. We want to make sure that people know that it's time to take a look at what's in your yard.
3 other students suffered minor injuries.
Firefighters from other states are now headed to southwest Missouri to help battle a wildfire. Officials with the Mark Twain National Forest say the sugar fire is now about 60% contained. The fire has burned about 1,500 acres. Several homes have been evacuated as a precaution. It's dry all across the Show Me State. That's why Governor Mike Parsons signed an executive order today declaring a drought alert in Missouri until March 2025. This will activate response and recovery efforts. According to the U.S. Drought Monitor, most of the state is experiencing moderate, severe, or extreme drought conditions. The St. Louis region is classified as abnormally dry.
And we certainly could use some rain. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell here with the weather impact forecast. We are to be getting some in the next 24 hours or so?
Yeah, probably in about 30 to 36 hours. That's our time frame overnight tomorrow night. So it will really dry through tomorrow, and that's going to come just at the end of the month. You know, we've only had 0.05 of an inch of rainfall in the rain gauge officially at St. Louis Lambert International Airport. Now, it's still warm tonight. We had a record high today of 86, record tying high. We've only dropped back into the mid-70s, low and mid-70s around the area right now. 72 over in Sullivan and Rolla. It's 70 in Greenville, Illinois. St. Charles at 74. Lambert's coming in this hour with a partly cloudy sky at 76 degrees. That wind's still a bit gusty out of the south. And unlike last night where we had that veil of clouds, tonight we don't have as much cloud cover, even though the winds are staying up. So we should be just a hair cooler tomorrow morning. 71 was our low this morning. That also goes in the record books as a record high low temperature for the day. We're not getting below that before 1 a.m. So temperatures mid-60s to upper 60s overnight. That's out the door tomorrow morning. And then a mix of sun and clouds, gusty winds again, but no severe weather tomorrow. No rain expected tomorrow. Low to mid-80s. That won't break a record or tie a record. But as we go into the overnight hours Wednesday, specifically from 2 a.m. Thursday until about 7 a.m. Thursday, we're looking at a line of showers and some thunderstorms coming our way. Right now, we're hedging towards it not being all that intense, but there is still a chance west of St. Louis in particular that some of the storms could have some gusty winds, which means there might be an isolated power outage or two. Just keep those devices charged up and we'll keep you updated. That big dip in the jet stream, boy, is it already inspiring some wintry weather across Wyoming. You're seeing the unsettled weather grow here out to our west. We're on the warm side of this system for tomorrow, and yes, it increasingly becomes humid through the day. That's going to fuel strong to severe thunderstorms across parts of Kansas into northwest Missouri, including potentially some stronger storms that could produce tornadoes out around Kansas City back towards Wichita. Again, as we head into the overnight hours tomorrow night, they approach St. Louis after midnight. tonight. They lose a lot of their punch, but some downpours certainly possible. We'll still be looking at some rain during the rush hour early on Thursday. Then it pushes away, and by the afternoon hours for the trick-or-treaters, the Halloween forecast doesn't look so bad, around 60 degrees at 5 o'clock, dropping into the 50s. That's pretty typical for this time of year. So again, we'll be fine for Halloween for the trick-or-treaters. Most of the rain is early in the day. That the weather impact alert just for the early morning hours as we go through Thursday. Friday's a dry day. Most of Saturday is too. By the time we get into Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, and yes, even into Election Day, we will be timing out some waves of rain. That actually looks like it's going to be quite a bit of rain compared to what we have seen. The chances for 1 to 2 inches early next week looking pretty good.
Well, and we do need it.
We need it badly.
All right. Scott, thanks. Frank is here with sports.
Mike, the Blues had a game in Ottawa tonight, but they forgot to show up. A St. Louis NFL player continues to struggle off the field, and on Frankly Speaking, how much does SLU coach Josh Schertz love basketball? Actually, more than I do. We'll be right back.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Telly Tire and Auto Centers, driving your way since 1942.
So there was a power outage at the Canadian Tire Center tonight. So the Blues and Senators game was delayed by a half hour. Many Blues fans wish the game wasn't played at all. Joel Hofer got his first start in 10 days and it didn't go well. The Senators started early, about a minute in, and they did not let up. As you can see by these goals, Hofer didn't have a prayer. They were turnovers. The Senators led 3-0 after one. One bright spot, if you love the Kachucks, and you darn well should, Brady had himself a nice evening. That's one goal. A little bit later, the Chaminade kid had a second goal, and the Senators blast the Blues 8-1, their worst loss in almost 4 years. The Blues continue to take care of business before their players can become restricted free agents. After signing Jake Neighbors to a 2-year deal last week, today they inked Alexei Toropchenko to a 1-year extension. He'll make $1.7 million. Comedian Joe E. Lewis said in 1958, rooting for the Yankees is like rooting for U.S. Steel. And I think many feel the same way about the Dodgers now. However, the two teams had the country watching the World Series, and Freddie Freeman did it again. He set a World Series record by homering in his 6th consecutive World Series game, 2-0 Dodgers in the first. And on a Yankee team with some of the biggest specimens in the sport, it was their 180-pound shortstop, Anthony Volpe, who delivered a big blow, a grand slam. And the former Cardinal, Luke Weaver, was sharp for the Yankees. They win it 11-4. The Dodgers lead the series 3-1. Detroit police are investigating why Lions wide receiver Jameson Williams avoided arrest after a gun was found in his car. The warrant request was made after internal affairs investigation was opened by a local TV station. Jameson's brother was driving. There were 2 guns in the car. One was registered under his brother's name. The other gun was not. The Cardinal Ritter grad is serving a 2-game suspension right now for use of performance-enhancing drugs. Congratulations to Valley Park's Will Geary. He's become the all-time leading scorer in Misha history, 334 points, including 149 goals. The 6'3" senior has 47 goals this season. But get this, soccer isn't his only sport. He committed this summer to play baseball next year for Lindenwood. When Rick Majerus was the head basketball coach at SLU, he famously loved just 2 things, ball and food. Don't look now, we have hired a similar kind of coach in Josh Schertz. He says he has no hobbies, it's ball, food, and family for Schertz. Late at night, some guys watch Netflix. Schertz has never watched Netflix, only NBA games. Some coaches just observe their team scrimmages. He could tell you what each player's shooting percentages are in those scrimmages. How about vacations? Maybe cruises and a trip to Europe? Think again. He took 3 trips this summer, one to Colorado to coach USA basketball, another to Utah to watch the Jazz coaches work, and a third one to Oklahoma City to see how the Thunder coaches do it. The season starts Monday for SLU. They have 3 really good players. I'm not guaranteeing a Sweet 16 run, but I would bet the mortgage before long this is going to be a very good basketball program. And that's, frankly speaking, for tonight.
Thanks, Frank. A knock at the door, but no one is there. How your doorbell camera could earn you the ultimate trick or treat this Halloween. Something spooky is showing up on Ring doorbell cameras across the country. The company's Great Ghost Search has already led to nearly 4,000 submissions. The videos from the Ring app appear to show ghosts caught on camera. The winner will get a $100,000 cash prize, perhaps a down payment on a new, less haunted home.
Have you ever seen a ghost?
I kind of felt it, but not really seen one. Have
On
you?
your trip, you said you thought you
I
heard.
heard it.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Scary.
There you have it. 5 on your side at 10. We're always streaming on 5+.
And be sure to start your day with Today in St. Louis, and that starts at 4 a.m. Have a great tomorrow.
Ooh-ah.